to be this way. We don't have to put up with corruption, cronyism, collusion. We don't have to be overrun by political theater. We don't have to be told to hate one another and pitted against each other. We could choose cooperation, compassion, community. My Nana served her community. She worked with Lighthouse Ministries, and they actually provided assistance for families that needed help paying their utility bills. My papa was a Shriner out in Florence, South Carolina. Serving your community is what we're good at. We know that when we come forward in cooperation and service, we can help one another to a better life. I've been the president of the South Carolina Writers Association. I've been part of the South Carolina Libertarian Party. I've been volunteering in my community. Heck, I volunteered for marching band camp this week, okay? We know when we get out there and we give of ourselves to others that we're a much better society. I'd like for all of us to say yes. All of you did say yes to being here to voluntarily cooperate with one another, to advocate for change. I believe in cooperation and community, but when I talk like this on the radio, people tell me I'm naive. They tell me that without government, without political parties, we would fall apart, that our government would collapse, that our society would collapse, and I just don't think that's true. I think good people will come together to do what's right for one another, not just what's right for themselves. And it's really important that we consider our community as being the place where we cooperate together. I also think that the Republicans and the Democrats believe that if we were not blaming each other, we would be able to see what they're doing to us. And so they keep us divided on purpose. They pit us against each other because it benefits them. It takes the focus off of all the corruption that they're doing. They know if we're blaming each other, we're not blaming them. And that's who we should be blaming. If we're not coming together to solve our problems, they can keep selling us our problems. They can keep selling us immigration as a problem. They can keep selling us abortion as a problem. They can keep selling those products to us if we're not cooperating against them. But I think we're sick and tired of their politics. I think we're sick and tired of the machinery that runs their politics. And I think we're ready for something totally different. And in South Carolina, we have a huge opportunity in 2026 to deliver a blow to the establishment. And that opportunity is to elect somebody who is not a Democrat and is not a Republican. Somebody who does not have to say yes to those two parties. Somebody who's not part of their money-raising corporate giveaway scam. Somebody who instead can do what's best for South Carolina, that can put our state first. And that's me. I'm an independent candidate. I will not have to do what the Democrats or the Republicans tell me to do. I'll be able to do what you tell me to do. What South Carolina wants comes first. And that's how I will serve you in the U.S. Senate. I will represent you, but you've got to take a chance. You have to go into the ballot box next year and decide you're not going to play by their rules. You're going to pick somebody that is not a Republican, not a Democrat. And I really hope that somebody will be me. Like I said, I'm Casey, South Carolina. That's my website, CaseySouthCarolina.com. Casey Whitener, Dr. Casey Whitener, on the radio here on 100.7 The Point. Also state chair of the Libertarian Party. So grateful to be here and be part of what you guys are doing. Keep up the good fight. It's with our voices that we make a difference. So thank you very much, all of you, for your dedication to serving our community. Have a great rest of your Saturday.
I think one of the big things whenever we first started 5051 was the idea of being a big tent. And it brings me a lot of joy to finally have, somebody from the Libertarians up under that tent. Because the bigger our coalition, the more chances we have of getting this right. There is so much that we agree on. There's so much that we agree on as a people, but we don't really see that agreement because of the division, because of the polarization. Another group that I would love to get up and in would be Braver Angels. And we're working on incorporating some with Braver Angels, or at least some of our political parties are. But I think we have our next speaker.
Thank you everybody for coming out here. I know it's a busy weekend for a lot of people. If the people way over there cannot hear me, just for 5 minutes, if you can come closer, I would love for you to hear what I have to say. What I have to say, for those, I don't know if everyone saw me last time, the No Kings protest. I'm a Palestinian. I am an American. I was born in this country. I went to high school at a Quaker high school in Ramallah. We taught peace, we were taught nonviolence, we were taught coexistence. I went to college in America, I went back to the Middle East, I went back to Palestine. I went to an Israeli medical school because I believe in coexistence. I speak Arabic, I speak Hebrew, and I speak a little English. I'm standing before you. I drove from Charleston to get a chance to have anyone listen to me because the situation is dire. We see the starving babies. This is a plan or a project that is months and months in the making. They are blocking feeds for children, no baby formula. When starving mothers produce no breast milk, how do you expect babies to survive? How can we be accomplices in this unrolling genocide? And I say genocide not for hyperbole, not for politicization, not for making this sensational. There's a legal term called genocide, and I wish it weren't true. But if you don't believe me, you can ask the Israelis. We've had 2 human rights organizations, one I'm very familiar with called B'Tselem, and they have confessed that this is a genocide. So when we have the liar Netanyahu get a red carpet before our nation's capital, it turns my stomach. He's gotten billions and billions of dollars in weapons. This destruction you see in Gaza was expensive, and you and I paid for this out of our tax dollars. It's going to cost even more to fix, but it's sickening that the general population is a target. Given the history of the people of Israel, who created a country out of Palestine when we let them in because Palestinians are hospitable, and now the immigrants, who I consider immigrants, have turned us into slaves in our own country. 90% of people in Gaza want to live and don't have anything against Israel. It boggles my mind when they ask Palestinians on TV, our media is very complicit too, does Israel have the right to exist? Clearly I believe Israel has the right to exist. I wouldn't have gone to medical school there. Most Palestinians believe that as well. Why aren't you asking, does Palestine have the right to exist, especially when their existence is being annihilated? It's ridiculous. We cannot continue to fund an Israel with weapons, with our billions and billions of tax dollars when they are committing a genocide. This is against our national security interests. We cannot continue to believe this lie that is touted by AIPAC and the Israel lobby, that somehow a genocide or annihilation of the Palestinian people is in our national interests. This is a lie. They do not have a democracy there. They have an apartheid state. Palestinians have no rights. They draw the border to include Gaza and the West Bank. But Palestinians are not citizens of this country that they imagine. And it's become clear now that their solution, their final solution, dare I say, is the annihilation, the extermination of the Palestinian people. So just because Netanyahu has great English doesn't mean we should believe him. Clearly you see all the clips on social media now of him claiming that Iran has a nuclear weapon going back to 1992. The man is a pathological liar. He does not deserve weapons, the most sophisticated weapons. Not just our weapons, we're giving him everything, technologically speaking. And our tech companies are complicit. Google, Amazon, Microsoft, all the AI in the world. Are you worried about AI coming to get humanity? Guess who's training it to destroy and kill humans? The Israeli government. Project Nimbus, look it up. Look at what Palantir has done for the Israeli government. This is not the Israeli Defense Forces. This is the Israeli Occupational Forces, and they should be tried in The Hague But what do? The United States government has sanctioned the ICC. We sanctioned this poor UN repertoire who released a list of complicity. Instead of awarding her, putting her on a pedestal, congratulating her for her hard work, putting her own life and career at risk, the United States government attacks. We attack everyone that goes against Israel. Anyone who dares say that this is a genocide, even though legally that is what it is, there is no debating it. This is shameful. This is not the country that I grew up in. As a doctor, seeing this starvation, it turns my stomach. How can we say we're against abortion if you are against abortion? This current government of ours, strongly against, we're almost risking lives of pregnant mothers so they won't kill a baby, but Israel has killed 1,000 babies under the age of 1. Their age is 0 if you look at the registry. 1,000. More children have died every single day in Gaza than what happened October 7th. How can you justify this morally? This is not a defend yourself situation. Every time Palestinian dies, if you read the news, they just say they die. There's no causality. They weren't murdered, they weren't butchered, they weren't in their homes trying to hide from terror. They just die. These people are just dying, and this famine is not engineered intentionally to cause an erasure of a people. This complicity needs to be held accountable. We can no longer, as a government, support a government that does this in our name. Look at how the world will view us. How this is totally against our national interest. You know, they want to frame Palestinians as Islamic terrorism when the biggest terrorist in the Middle East right now is Israeli government-sponsored terrorism. More deaths than any other country. They have attacked Syria, they have attacked Lebanon, they have attacked Yemen, they have attacked Iran, almost dragging us into another Iraq. What can we do? Let's vote for the lady who was up here who is not going to go with the establishment. We need to express to Scott, we need to express to Graham that this is unacceptable. And they are afraid. Why do you think they're trying to slander Mamdani? New York City has the biggest population of Jewish people outside of Israel. Yet, who did they vote for in the Democratic primary? What signal does that send? The Zionists are scared because the population does not agree with genocide, and this slander and lie about Muslims being hateful, it doesn't work anymore. You cannot justify a genocide because you're afraid of Muslims. 200 journalists have been massacred in Gaza. When your enemy is truth, that is what you do. My colleagues, 1,500 healthcare workers, have been slaughtered in Gaza. When your goal is to eliminate the population, who do you eliminate who can take care of these people once you injure them? The healthcare system. Who can testify against the genocide in the future? Who is keeping records of the atrocity? The healthcare system. So it's no wonder that 36 of 36 hospitals in Gaza have been attacked in some shape or form. There is no evidence that Hamas is underneath every single hospital, yet they get away with it impunity. When our government saw that they are bombing hospitals, the weapons should have stopped. One phone call from our president, whether it be Biden who is responsible, whether it be now Trump who is responsible, saying no more aid to Israel. Israel cannot exist without America, by the way, not without the flow of weapons. So you want to support Israel because you want to pretend it's our ally, you want to take AIPAC money. Why don't you be a good friend to Israel and say, hey, look, this is not a good look for you. We are risking our friendship with Canada. Who saw the tweet with President Trump yesterday? He's threatening Canada that we will not have a trade deal if you're going to recognize Palestine. Canada's our greatest ally, by the way, not Israel. Why are we doing this to allies? All because of their threat to recognize a Palestinian state. How afraid are you of the truth? I want to mention another, this protest is against our corrupt government, is against fascism. There is a project that I urge you all to look up. It is called Project Esther. This project, the goal is to make any criticism of Israel tantamount to anti-Semitism. If this succeeds, I would be arrested for speaking against Israel. This is not a democracy if we do this. We cannot allow Project Esther to be implemented. We cannot have students arrested by ICE because they wrote an article in their student newspaper criticizing Israel, which is what they did to this Turkish student. We cannot have Muhammad Khalil, who just helped organize peaceful protests against Israel, be kidnapped by ICE and held for months. He missed the birth of his own child. He is legally here. We are weaponizing anti-Semitism, which is the biggest harm you can do to anti-Semitism, because real anti-Semitism exists. There are Holocaust deniers, and what do we think of those people? We think they are scum. Anyone who denies the Holocaust is scum. So my question to you is, what do we think of people who deny this genocide? Isn't that the moral equivalent? Our current government is no better than the Holocaust deniers if they're going to deny this genocide. Thank you, everybody. By the way, I came here representing Carolina Peace. Carolina Peace, we have a table right there. If you are interested in helping our cause, talk to us. We are here every week, every Saturday. And I forgot to end with free, free? Free, free? Thank you, guys.
Hey everybody, I just wanted to take a minute. My name's Emily Scott. I'm with the Richland County Democratic Party. I'm out here today recruiting and getting the word out about a program we're instituting called Block Captains. It is a way to engage with voters 3 times a year. We're looking for volunteers who will take a list of 50 people, mostly like-minded. I mean, unless you really want to open it up, but we're thinking like-minded people that you'll contact 3 times a year in the election cycle. We'll provide the training, the materials, the moral support. If you'll tell your friends, talk to your neighbors, but we need as many people as we can, because in November I think we learned that even our base did not turn out like it should have. Way too many people stayed home, and we've got to win in November. So we need y'all's help. If you go to our website, richlandscdems.com, all the information about the Block Captain program is out there. A way to sign up. You can talk to me today. We've got 3 trainings scheduled in September. There'll be more to follow. But we're looking for a contact with voters this fall, in the spring, in time for the June primary, so that everybody knows who the candidates are and all the information they need. And then again in the fall of 2026 for, of course, get out the vote. So, Emily Scott, Richland County Democratic Party, richlandscdems.com. Thank you.
Hello, I am Leslie Minard. I'm here with Carolina Peace and the Friends Meeting House, the Quakers. The Quakers, as Nazar said, he went to school at a Quaker school in Ramallah. I'm probably saying that wrong, because the Quakers have been in Palestine since the creation of Israel, and they are tirelessly advocating for peace. There's information at the table about the Quakers. But the other thing I'm here to talk about, Project Esther, well, that already happened in South Carolina. Carolina Peace fought this, but last year they passed a bill that makes it illegal. It makes it a hate speech for you to speak against Israel. So basically, I'm in trouble right now. It's basically going to be used at universities. But the bill passed. 26 Republicans voted against it and only 1 Democrat. Gilda Cobb Hunter, thank you. But it flew through, it was on skids and it flew through the House. The APEC money isn't just in DC. It's here in South Carolina. You know, after October 7th, the Israeli flag flew outside of our city hall for about 2 months because our mayor went with a whole bunch of other mayors to Israel. They all take the ride and take the bribe. Next, they're going to be taking the dog catcher. They take everybody. And they, to grease the skids, so to speak. And I do want to speak about one other thing, speaking about tyranny. You know, most of our budget goes to the war machine. And they have to have wars. And the main wars in the past, since the 90s, are on the Muslim and Arab world. We have been trained through Hollywood. Remember, media is owned by like 6 companies. We're trained through Hollywood and our newspapers to fear and hate Arabs and Muslims to make it okay for the endless wars. Netanyahu wrote a book in '96 and he listed the 7 countries that he needed to be taken down. Wesley Clark went into the Pentagon 10 days after 9/11, and the list of the 7 countries they were going to take down in 5 years was his list. They've taken them all down except Iran. Let me see if I can get this right. Libya, Syria, Somalia, Sudan, somebody help me. Lebanon, Iraq. Iran's number 7. We have been following his playbook for a long time. That's where our money's going. Y'all, show up for elections. You can vote third party. The Democrats need to get ranked choice voting so it's not somebody who kisses the ring. Anyway, thank you.
All right, we got one more, and then we're going to go back to some music.
Hello everybody, my name is Kyle. I'm a member of the Revolutionary Communists of America, and I would like to share some information about our newspaper. It's called The Communist, all right? But I have a question for you first. Are you happy about the way American politics is going? No. Okay, me neither. All right. So the headline on our newspaper says, "The Summer of Discontent." Is that what it feels like to you right now? Okay, all right. I'm going to read you a really brief blurb from our newspaper about this summer of discontent, all right? Because Trumpism is in turmoil, the MAGA coalition is starting to fall apart, there's wars, there's mass protests on the street. So let me start out with a quote from the Wall Street Journal recently. They said, "If Trumponomics fails to deliver strong growth and gains in real incomes, the left-wing populists will be waiting as the main alternative," end quote. So concludes the sobering warning by the Wall Street Journal editorial board, issued under the not-so-sober headline, "The People's Republic of New York City," after Zohran Mamdani won the Democratic primary. The mouthpiece of the enemy class, the capitalist class, echoes a similar alarm sounded back in 2020 by the editorial board of the Financial Times. They said, quote, "Since the global financial crisis, this system of betrayal has fueled a political backlash against globalization and the institutions of liberal democracy. Right-wing populism may thrive on this backlash while leaving capitalist markets in place. But as it cannot deliver on its promises to the economically frustrated, it is just a matter of time before the pitchforks come out for capitalism itself and for the wealth of those who benefit from it," end quote. For all the shrill liberal alarmism about Trump's authoritarian threat to what we so-called democracy, it was never about the danger of fascism that the ruling class feared about MAGA. They're afraid of what will happen to working class anger after MAGA breaks apart. The question will be posed in practice sooner rather than later. As predicted, Trump has wildly overpromised and underdelivered. His brief, ineffective war on Iran has deeply shaken the faith of many of his base. But in all likelihood, the final nail in the coffin of Trumpism will be disappointment on the economic front. You know, the Clinton strategist who said it's the economy, stupid, right? On the economic front. So a severe bout of stagflation would spell disaster for Trump. Meanwhile, if anything has been more consistently pathetic than Trump's promises, it's the dumpster fire of the Democratic Party over the past year. The U.S. ruling class has watched helplessly over the last decade as both of their parties have been reduced to hated spectacles and dysfunctional instruments incapable of stable governance on their behalf. First, the GOP fell to MAGA, while the establishment Democrats fended off Bernie twice before buckling under the weight of their own unpopularity. In reality, it's not out-of-touch leaders or merely political incompetence that has turned the status quo into a despised black hole. It's the crisis of capitalism that did that. Just as this system will ultimately tank Trumpism, any attempt to revive the hated Democratic Party through a lefty rhetorical attack will also be short-lived and doomed to disappoint. The goal of the Revolutionary Communists of America is to make the worst nightmare of the ruling class come true, that the pitchforks will come out for capitalism itself. But the way to make that happen is not by reviving the flailing Democratic Party. It's to oppose the Democratic Party and finally build a mass alternative, independent of the political pillars of the revolutionary class. We want to build a working class independent party. Thank you.
Alrighty, and as we close on the speaking and return to the lovely music that we had here today, I want to kind of come back to what 5051 SC wants to be. We want to be a voice of the people, which means all the people, and personal feelings of what is revolutionary communism aside of somebody that's more centered. I think being able to get up and to speak that in front of people, that openness, that transparency, that inclusivity is important, and it's the foundation of what we want democracy in our republic to represent. All voices, not just the ones that we like. And so it's good that today we had the Libertarian group, right, the Democrats, somebody representing both the Gaza group and also the Greens, and then it's good to have that variety of voices in one place and yet still be able to say our main danger, our main focus is this administration and the atrocities that they are committing. And it's good to have that solidarity with one another. So we're going to go back to the music and let's enjoy each other's company because we're here to build some community.
Watch history. No thoughts and no prayers can bring back what's no longer.